grounded? How do you stay grounded? Because you are, you know, a big superstar. You're a celebrity. You're making your own money. You're coming to your own place, and you know, spent years in the industry. How have you remained grounded? What keeps you grounded?
God keeps me grounded because God reminds me that, you know, you've come from a long way. You know, I've brought you through a lot. I can't even begin to tell you what I've been through, you know, in my life. So, and I think my parents as well, I have to keep on, you know, and I think it's really important. It goes back to how you're raised. I was raised to have compassion. I was raised to not lord myself over anyone. We're all human. We're all having the same experience. I stay grounded because I want to be grounded. I don't want to believe my own hype, because I feel if when you start to believe your own hype, that's when you start to lose reality. And I have children. I have 2 beautiful daughters that I know I have to be a role model for. And I want them to see through me how I treat others, how to treat others. My mom raised me to be very humble. She's like, oh, humble yourself in the sight of the Lord and he will lift you high. That is in, so it's ringing in my ear. Yeah. And then again, I'm very mindful. I meditate, I pray. So that helps me to just stay grounded. And because I know the job that I'm here to do is not for me, it's to shine light. It's to shine light on the things that are ugly, the things people don't like to talk about. So I don't know. And I think that's just me personally. That's just who I am. And I'm grateful for that, because I see a lot of my colleagues and friends and people, you know, everywhere else, and they're losing it. And I'm just like, damn girl, you know, damn boy, you know, could you just bring it down a notch? And I don't want to lose reality. I don't want to lose touch with my people. And at the end of the day, I'm only who I am because the people let me. They love what I do. So that's why whenever I see people and they stop me and they say hi and they want to take a picture, I do it with them. Even if I'm not in the mood. No. Do you know what? It brings me out of my bad mood, because it reminds me that you're not here for yourself. Come on. So I'm grateful, and I think grateful. And I wrote today, gratitude, where grace meets gratitude, greatness follows.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that came to me this morning. So yeah, that's where I want to leave it.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's a good note to leave it. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best with your beauty line, and also with your new film coming out. Looking forward to seeing that on Netflix. It's come out on Netflix, so look forward to seeing that. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. God bless.
Yes, and that's all we can take for one-on-one today. I know, I really wish we had more time, just spend like the entire day with her, but we'll have her back again. Thank you, and until the next episode, my name is Fumi Onuajefe. See you soon.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu wins the All Progressive Congress presidential ticket, and former Minister of Science and Technology Ogbonnaya Onu questions the All Progressive Congress for not zoning its presidential ticket to the southeast. Well, this is Plus Politics. I'm Mary Anna Kong. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has won the presidential ticket of the All Progressive Congress APC. He polled 1,271 votes to defeat other aspirants as the party's primaries happened in the Eagle Square in Abuja. He defeated Rotimi Amechi, who scored 316 votes, and the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who got 235 votes. The presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress said on Wednesday that he did not expect to win the party's presidential primaries. he also said he holds no grudges against members of his party who walked against his candidature. Well, joining us to discuss this are political analyst Bola Oba, Babashola Adebuyi, and media strategist Alfred Okoro. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Miriam.
Great. It's been a very interesting 24 hours, almost 24 hours, if you ask me. I mean, the presidential primary started yesterday, early, let's say mid-morning, and it took almost a whole day into another for the results to be read out. But I think we all were watching with keen interest. I mean, every single person had their eyes on the Eagle Square. I'm going to start with you, Bola. Was there any element of surprise for you, especially when the results were read, even at the point where certain persons were stepping down for the leader of the APC?
Not at all, to be very honest with you. Not at all, because I've always predicted or projected that an indirect primary would be playing to Bola Ahmed Tinubu's electoral capital. And the guy has built bridges for decades. He's been in building bridges since 1992. And you know what? He knows what it takes to win an election, especially an electoral college type of election. That is where when you put it into indirect election. So I've always projected that if a direct primaries were to be conducted, it would have been the vice president to lose. But in a scenario of an indirect primary, which is more of an electoral college type electioneering system, I knew he was going to take it. The margin, I may not have.
I think that we're having connection issues there with you, Bola. Mr. Oba, I think we're having connection issues with you, so I'm going to toss this question to Alfred. Alfred, what stood out for you, especially, just like I asked him, was the candidate who, came up to say, well, they would have loved to, but they would step down for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Again, the cameras were really great at, picking the body language and the demeanor of Mr. President, the Vice President, and so many other people who sat, behind that glass. But what really stood out for you, especially for someone who's looking from the outside in?
Well, just to even support what Mr. Bola said, I agree with him 100% in the sense that for indirect primaries, this is politics at play. This is not human sentiment, none of those. And if you look at it from that perspective, Senator Tinubu, or Bat, however we want to call him, has been building this over time. If you check it, how many people has he helped to get into office? There are countless people. Do you expect these people to turn their backs on him? So the mode of primaries that APC chose favored him, or when I don't know how they chose it, but there is no way, based on the capacity he's been building, for him to get to lose this. Because pretty much everybody there, one way or the other, has benefited from his generosity, or from his politics, or from his guidance, however you want to look at it. And there is no way. I wasn't even surprised. For me, at the end of the day, you could say, if you were looking at social media a few days back, you might think others had a chance. But if you understood politics, there is no way. Now, this is not the general election that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. But like Mr. Bola said, this is indirect primaries. Mm-hmm. So you have to look at what was happening. Direct primaries, who knows? It's a toss-up. But for what happened yesterday, there was absolutely zero surprises. There might be speculation, but no surprises.
Babashola, you seem to be a bit surprised because the APC seemed to be very good at spinning stories. We saw all kinds of confusion, information coming from the chairman of the party saying that the president had endorsed an Ahmed Lawan. We also saw the Kogi State governor who was saying he will not step down for anyone except Mr. President asked him to. I mean, we saw all kinds of things spinning. We even at some point got some misinformation that the vice president may be stepping down for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but all of those things were some sorts of a social media spin. But here we are, and you seem to be a bit surprised. Why?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to congratulate Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu for winning the APC ticket to contest for the presidential election come 2023. Just like everyone has said, he has been building his political career since 1992, just like Alhaji Abubakar Atiku. So today, he has finally gotten the ticket to contest for the position, the highest office in Nigeria. Now, I was not surprised actually, except I've been deceiving myself. The truth is, if you are contesting for a position, there are some things you ought to have done that would have benefited a lot of people, a lot of political career in the country. Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been in this position for a very long time. If he was a governor for 8 years, he appointed a lot of people. He had been spending resources on a lot of people, a lot of things. We can also remember how he was able to fight in Lagos to get the resources of Lagos State local government fund that was held by the federal government. Now, the guy is contesting. He has the structure all over the country. He has the structure all over the country. A lot of people saw something in him, and he believed so much in himself. We cannot compare him with others. Let me use Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Professor Yemi Osinbajo became the vice president on a platter of gold. He was not a politician. He was appointed or nominated to be the vice president to President Muhammad Buhari. On being the vice president, he refused to build his own political structure. I cannot point to anything in Nigeria that I can say is the political impact of the vice president.
But I'm sorry, Babashola, let me just quickly come in there. I don't want to talk over you. You sound like this is unprecedented. Let's take you back down history. Former President Goodluck Jonathan was also not necessarily a politician per se. He was a career, let's say, public servant. Now, he rose from being a deputy governor to being a vice president and then a president. So when you sound like he was on a platter of gold, we can also refer to Goodluck Jonathan as someone who has been lucky his whole political career. I mean, if the stars had aligned, maybe that could have been the case for Yemi Osinbajo.
They are totally different.
I beg your pardon.
They are totally different. Goodluck Jonathan was a deputy governor. Yes, maybe the political career. He became the governor. And before we knew it, he became the vice president in Nigeria. So you cannot compare Goodluck Jonathan with Professor Osinbajo. Now, we are talking of Professor Osinbajo, who was a lawyer defending his clients, going to court, doing all those things. I think the only political appointment he had was being a commissioner of justice in Lagos.
Was an attorney general,
and after, yes, being a commissioner, it was a career for him, not a political career per se. Now, all of a sudden, from nowhere, they said, okay, we are appointing Osinbajo to be the vice president to the nominated presidential candidate of party. So it is totally different. Now, it became the vice president. There is no political base, no structure, no political impact. Even wherever, what the guy has been for the past 7 years is to be supporting the president. And now coming out to contest for the president.
Oh dear, I think we also, we've lost you there. Let me quickly toss now back to Bola. Bola, we lost. Okay, you've come back. Okay, great, go ahead.
Okay, truly, I actually stand by him in this. I wish he's the winner, but unfortunately, the truth has to be told. the political terrain, Professor Osinbajo is not it at all.
Well,
Please, if I may, the way I actually want to look at this is, in support of what Mr. Shola is saying, is that this is completely different from the ex-president Goodluck. Because number one is that on whose platform is the VP running on? It would have been different if Senator Tinubu was not running and anointed the VP to run on his behalf like he ran as a VP. Because that's the political structure. You need a structure.
But
this is politics.
But Alfred, do you think that the vice president, out of the blues, just woke up because he had a vision from God to be the president? Do you not think that there had been the hand of Esau in this matter, saying, well, I think that you should run, being that he's deputizing someone? Don't you think he got a nod of sorts to be where he was?
Well, that is up for speculation, because I personally, in my own capacity, I don't have any insider information. Do not believe he woke up to run against his principle. But his challenge is, it doesn't change the fact that you're running against your principle, regardless of how we look at it. At the end of the day, we all know how he became the vice president of the country. I mean, he ran a general election. He ran a general election, don't get me wrong.
Let me quickly add this to what Alfred said. Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Bola.
Like the other two Pentecostal participants in that competition, he woke up on the wrong side of the bed one day and decided to run.
And you know this how?
Let's be brass knuckle honest with ourselves. One, the leader of the church where he worships and where he's a pastor, and he had once prophesied that a member of the church was going to rule Nigeria. Number one. Number two, and the reason why I want to believe that he woke up one day being conceited that the voice of God was telling him to run was the same thing that Tunde Bakare. This is the fourth occasion that Tunde Bakare would give the impression that he was chasing an evangelistic prophecy and would come out with what you see in Pentecostalism, not only in Nigeria. I witnessed it in England, and I've read so much about it in Latin America. These people don't feel remorseful. They have no contrition. So this one has missed the target. They will do another blind this. Apart from it, there was another pastor, there was another Pentecostal pastor in yesterday's this. So I'm sitting there now, knowing that I told a forum of the supporters of BP that they added me to about 6 months ago. If it was going to be a direct primary, let's be very honest with ourselves, it would have garnered more traction than it did yesterday. But indirect primaries, especially in an environment where poverty has been weaponized and has been turned into poverty has been weaponized and has been turned into a kind of bait for the delegates, he had no chances.
Okay.
In fact, I was even thinking when others were stepping down, it was going to step down. I did not even think Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Yemi Osinbajo will be contesting against each other. In fact, I was telling my friend yesterday that Yemi Osinbajo will have no choice than to step down. But I was surprised that the guy went ahead to contest.
Well, all right.
Maybe because of an assurance.
All right, gentlemen, let's be orderly. Let me go back to the politics of it all. Let's talk about this Bola Ahmed Tinubu win, because yes, now he's the flag bearer of the APC. People will start hitting the numbers. People will start talking about What change can he bring to the country? What turnaround can we see? Is this going to be business as usual? Again, looking at all of the people who are stacked as flag bearers for other parties. I mean, we might not know the names of so many of them, but we have also on one hand an Atiku Abubakar, we have a Peter Obi somewhere in the corner, we also have a Kwankwaso in the NNPP. These are some of the candidates that we know who Tinubu will be up against. So I'm going to come back to you now, Alfred. What is the capital, or rather, what is the workability or the realistic aspects that a Tinubu win brings to these elections in itself?
You see, I'm going to actually even go a little further in this, because let's not confuse being a leader to being a good manager. You see, one of the things that we're going to look at, a leader builds a coalition. A leader appoints people. A leader sees things before others see it. A leader provides solution. Do I expect Bola Ahmed Tinubu to wake up every day running up and down? No, I expect him to appoint people to positions, square pegs to square holes, things like that. For me, I honestly believe this is APC's election to lose, simply because they did not break apart. If APC had broken apart in the primaries, that's a different thing, because now, if we look at the whole picture, you can confidently say that PDP is going to have a problem in the Southeast. Now, take away the Southeast votes for PDP. That's going to Labour Party. I would say majority of it. Now, you divide it. Where are the votes coming from? Will the Southwest vote PDP? I doubt it. So it's the Northern votes we're splitting. Who's going to have a problem? Who's not going to have a problem? I do not know, but general elections are different ballgames. Just like Mr. Bola said, there was no contest the moment this was an indirect primary. Now, on the capacity of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it depends on what angle you're looking at it. I see him as a leader. Whether he's the greatest leader or not is a different ballgame. But you can tell that this man knows how to build a coalition. This man knows how to build a team. This man knows how to empower people. Now, look at his contestants. If we look at Peter Obi, ex-governor Peter Obi, if you look at Kwankwaso, if you look at ex-VP Atiku, which of them compared, if you compare all four together, which of them would you say has a bigger base? Which of them would you say have a bigger disciple? Which of them would you say is a bigger maker of men in terms when politics is involved? When we're talking about this, who supports people running primaries? Who supports people in their own elections and all that? I think that's where it's going to come down to. The support of the people who built a bigger tent for others to feed into. And at this point, I would say it's Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Okay.
It is election to lose.
Let me come back to you, Babashola. What are the consequences of a Tinubu win? This is a different way of asking the same question. Because many people would say, like he has said, he thinks that he can build a coalition. But then he also said in the same breath that being a leader and a good manager are two different things. Now, Nigeria does need leadership, but in also needing leadership, we need good managers. You see where everything is going, in the direction it is going. Insecurity, the economy, unemployment. I mean, the list is endless. What is the implication of a Tinubu win for this country as it is right now?
Okay. For Tinubu, I believe that majorly is health. There is no doubt that the man is not, there is no doubt that the man is not 100% healthy. Of course, there is not. But his health, all of us can say it, even if it's in the public domain. So the question is, will his health permit him to concentrate more on the job at hand? That's number one. Number two, who are the people that will be selected for position? Because being a leader requires a lot of things. It requires responsibility and accountability. If you appoint people to do a job and you don't have that strength to monitor, to require for accountability from them, definitely it's going to affect your government. That's number two. He has, when he was the governor of Lagos State, he was able to do some things, and the people will say, oh, it's the builder of Lagos State. And there are also a lot of accusations against Ahmed Tinubu on how he has bought the whole Lagos, on how he has all those things. So now, he needs to prove that, being the president of Nigeria, he needs to prove that come, I'm a plain man. I am not corrupt as any people, as you people have been calling me, and I'm ready to do what is necessary to bring the glory of Nigeria out. To make people believe that there is something in Nigeria that can attract people from abroad for a foreign investment and make Nigerians themselves believe in themselves. If Bola Tinubu fails in this aspect of doing the right thing, of fighting corruption, of introducing the true federalism he has been campaigning for, if he fails of introducing the restructuring he has been campaigning for me, he has only been saying something for the purpose of winning an election. We need true federalism in this country. We need what is called restructuring in this country.
I'm tempted to ask you this question, and I want you to quickly answer so I can go to Bola Oba. Just as you said, that if he's unable to, if that's the probability there, if he even gets to win the general elections, but then that probability is something that, I don't know, let me ask it as a question. Is it something that we can afford? Can we afford to toss a coin again as a country? Remember, I asked where we are now in 2022. Can we afford to try again and see, or should we be more deliberate? I'm asking this because President Buhari is somebody who tried to run for this office 4 times. The 4th time, he had the opportunity. He told us everything that we wanted to hear. He promised, he made very lofty promises. And I don't want to say anything but ask, has he been able to scratch the surface of all of those things? So should we be, going out on a limb again this time around?
Every politician you meet will tell you what you want to hear. It's a different ball game when they get to the office. Whether he is going to do it or not, we don't have a choice. We have Atiku, we have him, and we have Peter Obi.
We do not have a choice, really?
Yeah, I'm going there. We don't have a choice because until they get there, until they get to the office, they'll be able to say, oh, he said it and he did it. As far as I'm concerned, they are all promises. They are all promises, and promises, you cannot hold anybody for promising you anything. You can only hold them for owing you. So if they failed in promises, it is promise. So you can't hold them. You can only use it against them. Maybe in the subsequent election.
All right, let me come to you.
You see, to even add to that. Okay. No.
Yeah, let me just quickly, I'll come back to you, Alfred. Let me quickly go to Bola. Bola, we see that the PDP is having closed-door meetings right now. As soon as they heard the win, we got reports that the PDP and, of course, the PDP governors, I beg your pardon, and the presidential candidate of the PDP were in closed-door meetings today. What do you think the strategy would be? I'm asking because judging from what Babashala is saying is that, well, maybe we don't have, our hands are tied. We just wait until the person gets into office, then we can decide if they're capable of doing what they've asked us to do. But what about the voter also preempting these politicians so that they do not feel that we really have our hands tied behind our backs?
This election, in the 2023 presidential elections, you are going to have 3 alumni of the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua's School of Politics. Plutocracy matched with kleptocracy, playing the advantage of weaponizing, of using poverty as a weapon against the electorate. Don't fool yourself. Atiku, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Kwankwaso, they were disciples of Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, and they were members of the PDM movement. If any one of my colleagues remembered. Now, if you look at the politics of Atiku and the politics of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and even the ostensibly the populist politics of Kwankwaso, we can see that the two most successful out of them are the two who have replicated what Shehu Musa Yar'Adua did, especially in the Southwest. When it came, I once had a personal encounter, a personal occasion with Baba Adedibu before he passed on. And I said, Baba Adedibu, how could a Shehu Musa Yar'Adua come all the way from Katsina and come down to Ibadan and Lagos and come and defeat the likes of Jakonde and some of the other greats of Awolowo in Awolowo School of Politics? And you know what Baba Adedibu told me? Baba Adedibu told me in classical Oyo Yoruba, which I will transliterate. I will endeavor to translate that the guy knew how to play politics with money. My brother Atiku and Bola Ahmed Tinubu today became the flag bearers of the two major political parties in Nigeria because they have always used money to build bridges.
So quickly, where does that leave us? Because we complain about the level of corruption, even under a government that had sworn that they were going to fight corruption. Where does that leave us? If we're buying votes at the party level, what happens to the general elections? In closing,
corruption is not a problem in Nigeria.
Is it?
Anywhere in the world, in any liberal democracy, there is corruption. You need a leader who can spin ideas there and create a team that can chase good ideas. You are not as corrupt as Southern Italy. You are not. The last three out of the four governors of the state of Illinois in America are in prison. Buhari messed up our politics by making you people believe that corruption is a problem. That is why under Buhari and the lack of creativity and value innovation, we are deeper in the mess.
Okay.
And he has eventually has to capitulate to corruption.
Okay.
Corruption is not a problem in Nigeria. Your problem is lack of leadership, creativity, and value innovation in leadership. Because Nigerians are entrepreneurially, we are so entrepreneurially powerful that when we see a good ball, we can chase and make good value of it.
All right, because we're running out of time. Quickly, Alfred, you wanted to chip in something. We need to wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Please.
Go ahead.
No, I actually agree a little bit of what Mr. Bola said along with what Mr. Shola said, because number one is that, I want to agree that corruption is not Nigeria's problem. Corruption is an extract of a major problem. Okay, so it's not our immediate problem. It's an extract. Something is leading towards that. I feel our biggest problem is vacuum of leadership. Now, if we talk about the issue, if we talk about where really are we going, number one is that we don't run an ideology-based politics. Somebody can move from APC to PDP, from PDP to Labour, with zero consequence. So what really option do we have? We want to believe we have options. We have individuals that are running for power. None of them is running based on an ideology. Who's a conservative? Who's a liberal? Who's a moderate? We do not know. I believe our democracy is still too young. And number one is, let's not get caught up with this issue of instant gratification. Just like you mentioned, can we afford to? Why can't we afford to? Nothing happens automatically. It takes time. You have to build it. It's a question of, now, let's even get people to participate. We first have to start playing inclusive politics, whereby if somebody makes a promise, like Mr. Shola said, if somebody makes a promise and does not perform, punish him at the polls in the next election. We cannot always be in a hurry saying, we don't have time, we don't have time. Since when have we been saying this? Since 1999, who has ever paid politically for corruption? So if you ask me, at the end of the day, I would hope Nigeria wins. And by Nigeria winning, it's not just about who won. It's a question of how did you win? Why did we vote for you? I also believe in protest votes, whereby rather than voting for these two people, let me vote for someone else to make you realize that, you know what, my vote counts. I don't think Nigeria will get fixed in this
That is
cycle.
why I will campaign for Peter Obi. I will campaign for Peter Obi in this round of election.
Okay,
I
all right.
really want Peter Obi to get more than 2 million.
Okay, we have to
let
go.
the two parties
We
know
have to
that we
go.
can have a
And this is
party.
no. There's no room for campaigning on this show. Not today. I'll send you an invoice
No,
if you
we're
have
not
to.
campaigning.
Well, I want to say thank you, gentlemen. Time is not on our side. Bola Oba, Babashola Adebui, and Alfred Okolo, I want to appreciate you guys for being part of the conversation.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you all for talking with us. We will take a quick break, and when we come back, we will be looking at what one of the presidential aspirants, Ogbonnaya Onu, had to say about the issue of zoning in the APC. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
It's still Plus Politics. Now, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, a former Minister of Science and Technology, has questioned the All Progressive Congress APC over its failure to zone the 2023 presidential ticket to the Southeast. Onu disclosed this yesterday at the Eagle Square while delivering his agenda to the party delegates just before the commencement of the voting at the presidential primaries. He asked, and I quote, "Where is the justice?" adding that he sacrificed his presidential ambition in the past just so two candidates from the Southwest could run. Take a listen.
Mr. President will be completing his tenure by 29th of May next year. I think, naturally, it should be somebody from the Southeast. I'm not saying this because I'm from the Southeast. Somebody from the Southeast that will now replace him. And that will give the opposite of South versus North and Christian versus Muslim. And it will bring stability to our nation. It will strengthen the unity of Nigeria. And I believe that this should have been done. And I personally, 23 years ago, I made a personal sacrifice when there were three parties and I held the presidential ticket of one of the three. But I had to let it go in order to solve a problem in the Southwest, to make sure that two Olus contested for the presidency, that head or tail, one will become a president. And that brought down tension in the country. And this is what would have happened if we allow the Southeast to, which is look at it. The Southwest has 8 years as president. 8 years as vice president. Can you at the South, they have 8 years vice president and president. Where is the justice? Where is the justice?
Well, that's the question. Where is the justice? And I remember watching that, and there was a loud booing coming from the crowd of delegates who were representing every state in the Federation. So I think the question that came to mind was, he was obviously making sense, but why was he getting that much apprehension from a group of delegates in a party that he belonged to?
Okay, so thank you very much. I think, good evening, viewers. I think that why I would hazard a guess that as to why that booing was happening, because it was more or less almost over in terms of the fact that this wasn't a place to begin to ask for justice. Yes, it was a place to agitate, show your agitation verbally, but it may not have much effect if you've not been planning. He made a lot of sense. In fact, a lot of things that he said was actually factual, especially for, if you look at every region coming out to, of course, agitate for that shift of power. We're talking about the supreme power now, as in terms of the real crux of what everybody's searching for. And he's thinking to himself, since 1999 that we became civilian democracy, we've had a northern president, we've had a south president, we've had a southwest president, and we don't have southeast president. And he, when the three parties merged to form APC, was critical. In fact, was one of the pillars of the AMPP who came together to form that party. But there's a lot of play that happens before you get to this point. And I'm guessing that that's the reason why that booing was happening. But if you think very deeply about it, it made a lot of sense, because it runs even much more deeper than that, down to the appointments, down to appointments at federal appointments, down to the local government distribution, down to as much as the security agencies, spread of security agencies. So, for instance, out of 16 heads of security agencies, I mean, you don't have any from Southeast extraction.
I want to take you on that, but ladies and gentlemen, Ihe Ibeji is a political analyst. Also joining us via Zoom is a legal practitioner, Obinna Chukwu. But Ihe, I want to take you on that. I have had this conversation over and over again about appointments, about people from the Southeast or even the South, you know, leading or heading, you know, being chief of army staff or naval staff. And they would tell you that we don't have a huge number of these men and women in those forces. And that you have more of, you know, people from the north, the northeast, the northwest, the north central, in those areas. And that's why most of the time you see them rising to those positions. It's debatable. It's debatable, but this is what they say. Also, for Anabunaya, some people would say that what he says, or you know, talks about as a sacrifice of sorts, would be, so for some would be that he was rigged out of that office or that position. And so why is he saying that he, you know, sacrificed it, or is he trying to say that he was a Goodluck Jonathan in this instance?
Well, I mean, before every appointment is made, it's called positioning. So I mean, every region positions themselves. I mean, for a region to understand the strategic nature of a handshake across very different divides, you need to begin to position yourselves. You need to position yourselves up to the point where you have fully top-ranked officers who can take over at the highest level of positions, highest level of offices. But then again, it also behoves on the president and the top office to make such appointments. So even if you position yourself up to that top rank and the president does not deem it necessary, you will not get that position. So for instance, you have an IGP, for instance, who maybe has not gotten up to the level of a DIG, so to speak, and is going to be picked to be made an IG. What normally would happen is what? I mean, every other person who is above him
is retired.
So that's how it works. So at the end of the day, it all boils down to not just the preference of the president, but that federal character and the equity, which is one of the things that we are talking about. So aside positioning, that also comes into play. You know, the political evaluation and political strategizing in the power structure, it has to work that way. And so far, unfortunately, it hasn't worked very well for the Southeast. If you look at the spread of the political appointments within this circle, if I may, you look at the Northwest has 37. You look at North Central, 21. You look at Southwest, 64. You look at Northeast, 29. You look at South, 24. And you look at the Southeast, 15. So these are some of the things that you begin to look at, then you begin to put one or two together, and you ask yourself, okay, so where is the equity? And that's exactly, these are some of the things that bring the angst to what he's saying. But you also need to understand the fact that there is a role that is played, as I said earlier on, by the political class, by the presidency, and there's a role that's played by the region. The region needs to begin to bond together.
I was about to toss that question to you, Barrister Chukwu. We've heard the Southeast complain over and over again about being given the short end of the stick. Always, whether it be a government that is even under a South-South government or a Southwest government, the Southeast always seems to be getting the short end of the stick. And Ihe is also saying that maybe there's a death of, positioning and structuring that would put you in a position where you would be picked for these offices, or even for the Southeast to be able to spread and say, well, it's our turn, and are able to also make sure that they get that turn. But what's your take?
Okay, first, thank you for having me. This has become a recurring thing in the Nigerian polity. I think, to me, this appears to be the closest that Southeast, or people from the Southeast have got into in terms of being the flag bearer of a ruling political party. Why did I say that? Because at least up to midnight or early hours of this morning, at least the winner of the APC primaries was not known until the vote started to roll by and counting started. But for me, I would say that we need to de-emphasize this issue of every time or any time we are close to a political, saying, okay, let me be specific, the primaries for presidential election. You begin to hear politicians shout, mention one region or the other. I think we need to de-emphasize that. Let us, if what Nigeria wants to follow is to allow for the best candidate to emerge, we should completely take a dive into that and allow that to work. What that will not mean will be that whoever that will be elected or that will fly the ticket of a political party will be by merit. I don't understand why
but is there not also a loophole in that? Because you see, merit can also, one way or the other, put certain persons, in a corner. Again, merit can be that, oh, this guy is smart, he's intelligent, but then how many people does he have lined up behind him? That's what pushes again, because politics is a game of numbers, not necessarily about sentiment. So you might be smart, you might be good, you might merit it, but then we don't give it to you because you don't have the numbers.
No.
So what happens there?
Marianne, what I'm saying is that I don't like this in one breath. The politicians will be shouting north and south. Left zone to north and south. In another breath, you will see the politicians do exactly opposite. If the main aim, or maybe to encourage stability and inclusiveness, and Nigerians or the political parties decide to now go zoning, why don't we go allow that zoning to work, or allow the zoning to get to the extreme? For instance, over from 1999 up to into this administration, the issue of zoning between North has not taken a shot at the presidency from 1999 till now. It's the Southeast. Ordinarily, for equity and fair play, it should have been zoned like it was zoned in 1999 to the Southwest. It should have been zoned to the Southeast. What do we have? what we are hearing is north-south, north-south, north-south. If we are zoning across the two regions, north and south, it therefore means that one particular region should not be allowed to produce the president at every given time.
Okay.
That's why I now said, if we want to do away with zoning, let us completely do away with zoning.
Okay.
And let it be, like as it were, survival of the fittest, or whoever, let the candidate that has the clout, the candidate that has the money. For instance, I know that whatever that will come out of this, particularly the two big political parties, the PDP and the APC, I can tell you that's not the will of the people.
Okay.
It is the will of money.
Okay.
Those that can be able to raise the millions, they are the ones that contested. I can even tell you, maybe it's by sheer luck that those that contested came from a particular region. Some came from the north, some came from the southeast, and some came. But if you look at them, you will see the whole thing is an assemblage of millionaires or billionaires in Nigeria.
All right.
That does not in any shape or form reflect Nigerians.
All right, let me come to Ihe because we are almost out of time. Ihe, where do we go from here? Because he's made very interesting points. It seems like it's a convenient, rhetoric to put out there every campaign season. How do we change the narrative going forward? Because we can't keep coming back here every election cycle.
I totally accept what he says when he speaks to meritocracy. But you see, we have 6 geopolitical zones and 774 local governments spread across the nation. And there's meritocracy that exists in all of that. How do we change the narrative? We need to look deep into the equitable distribution of political offices. So, I mean, the two positions, the two key parties, APC and PDP, have Southwest and the North. And then, incidentally, the Southeast has one in the Labour Party, even though it's not the front line. It's not considered front line, so to speak. But we need to begin to look at whoever is the winner must be magnanimous in victory and actually implement federal character. As for Dr. Obunaya's position, the region, the Southeast region, which I am from, must bond together really strongly and begin to reassert themselves now. As for the now, I would say you have a candidate already. We bond around him and we push for it. On the other hand, we speak with one voice. 7 years ago, APC flag bearer has started to plan. Yesterday, we saw governors from member Southwest states step down for him. He had done a handshake across the divide. We had about 3 or 4 candidates from Southeast extraction, and they all stood on the podium. Some stepped down for the Southwest candidate. No bonding together. These are very crucial points that we need to take to heart.
Well, unfortunately, time is not on our side, but we will revisit this conversation, of course, because campaign season is upon us, and there is a lot to talk about. But Ihe Ibeji is a political analyst, and Obinna Chukwu is a legal practitioner. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being part of the conversation. All right. Well, this is where we wrap up on the show today. It's been a very interesting 48 hours, if you ask me. But tomorrow is another day. We'll be talking for development. I am Mary Anacone. Have a good evening.
Hello there, my name is Olusegun Shonubi. Here are the highlights of the stories and events that shaped my growing up years. They were indeed memorable, good old days. I was born at Ikeja General Hospital to the family of Alhaji Yunusa Olabisi and Alhaja Sabitiu Aduni Shonubi. My grandfather was the Olisa of Ijebu Ode, who had to abdicate the throne because he wanted to perform Hajj. Up till now in Ijebu Ode, our family is known and called Abinufoyele, someone who left his position in anger. My dad was a World War II veteran who joined the Federal Ministry of Trade and Industry after his discharge as trade fair officer, which afforded him the opportunity to travel around the world representing Nigeria at trade fairs. I am proudly a Mushin boy. I grew up on Olateju Street, the challenge area of Mushin. Contrary to the general impression of Mushin being a violent area, I found it very peaceful. There were area boys in those days too, and you hear names like Isa Alagbara, Bayo Ogundare alias Bayo Success, the Way Boys, Ojuwoye Boys. But in those days, there was what you could call cooperation among them. Their recalcitrant acts were not without limitations. They were feared, but certainly not bloodthirsty like today's area boys. I recall several times when either my friends, members of my family, or I lose anything, we will simply go to Baba Isa Alagbara, who was staying next to our house, and a notorious area father of the time in Mushin. He will use his network and whatever was lost will be returned. There was also good communal living. Everybody seemed to know everybody in the area, and during celebrations, we were all like one big, happy family. I recall with fond memories the day I saw and met the legendary Ayinla Omowura Egun Mogaji. He had come to play for Bayo Ogundare alias Bayo Success, the first popular NURTW chairman and the henchman of the defunct National Party of Nigeria. Bayo Success had lost his mother and contracted Ayinla Omowura to play for him. Bayo Success, who equally lived in our area, had approached my dad to allow Ayinla Omowura, who came early for the occasion, to stay on our balcony till it was his turn to go on stage. A close encounter that would take a long time to leave one's memory. My growing up was memorable, but being from a polygamous home, my dad was not always at home, so my mom assumed both roles of father and mother. She was a strict disciplinarian. She would regularly search my school bag, and anytime she saw something that did not belong to me, she would start singing, "Ọmọ yín ò ṣàgbàfọ̀, ó ń kájọ wálé, ẹ rójú olè ẹ ò mú. Ọmọ yín ò ṣàgbàfọ̀, ó ń káṣọ wálé, ẹ rójú olè ẹ ò mú." Meaning your son is not a dry cleaner and he brings different clothes home. You did not arrest the thief. So every time I come back from school and I hear that song, I know hell would let loose that night. But she will allow me to eat dinner and sleep. She would then wake me up in the middle of the night, ask where I got the things from, and if not satisfied with my answer, would beat the hell out of me. Nobody taught me to stop putting what did not belong to me in my bag. The story of my education would not be complete without the mention of my elder sister, late Alhaja Busirat Olaide Quadri and Alhaji Tijani Olatunji Shonubi. Both of them encouraged me to be the best I could be. They sometimes would have paid for my school before my dad would be informed. The quality of education was high in my secondary school days. We had several foreign teachers, such as Indians, who taught us science subjects, and Ghanaian lecturers who taught the arts subjects like English and literature. In fact, it was one of those Indians who made me to like mathematics. It was equally during this period that I was introduced to the culture of reading, and I had read all the James Hadley Chase series and every other novel that I came across. One other thing that shaped my childhood and strengthened our extended family was that we started our family meeting in the 80s. During one of the meetings, we realized that some of my cousins, nieces, and nephews were not doing well in their education. I then volunteered to move from house to house and family to family to check their school works. Anytime they know that I was coming, they will be up to date with their homeworks, which I will review. I would then encourage on what to be done going forward and even scolded them where necessary. It got to a stage that most often their parents use me to threaten them if they don't face their academic work. Suffice it to say that majority of them have become successful and living in the United Kingdom and United States of America. Such is the joy of a motivator and a mentor. We are who we are today because of those strict and controlled upbringing we had. Our levels of morals are what they are today because we were taught of the value of dignity in labor. Whatever we have achieved modestly is as a result of the lessons in contentment ingrained in our subconscious mind. Yes, we have deviance in our time too, but they were not as rampant as what obtains today around us. But all hope is not lost. I am a believer in a Nigeria that will be great again if we all collectively resolve to make the difference. And I believe we can. We can begin to take steps towards changing the narrative. Our children, your children, my children, certainly deserve a better and brighter future, not memories of the good old days. As an ardent believer in this drive, I therefore join Sir Shemori Badejo in this patriotic drive towards a greater tomorrow. Thank you.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
Good evening, I am Adebanke Odunuri and this is the news update. The All Progressives Congress APC has commenced the rerun gubernatorial primaries in 12 local government areas of Benue State, which include Ogbadigbo, Ushongo, Konshisha, Agatu, Ohimini, Ado, Oju, Kwade, Okponku, Obi, Akpa, and 3 wards of Mbaya, Mbakpen, and Beven in Buruku. The gubernatorial rerun is coming on the heels of the recommendation by both INEC and the APC governorship appeal panel that was set up to look into the issues surrounding the primaries, which was earlier held on the 26th and 27th of May through direct method. Briefing newsmen during the distribution of the election materials at the party's secretariat in Makurdi, Chairman Benue State's Governorship Rerun Committee, Joel Omajali, said the exercise was delayed due to the party's special convention held in Abuja.
For giving us the audience and the reception yesterday while we entered Makurdi very late. And the reason being that the national assignment that was going on in Abuja delayed us. But the fact that we have a timeline for this exercise, we decided to move from Abuja and we arrived there very late. This exercise is going to be brief because we are supposed to turn in our result back to Abuja by 5 this evening. Today is the last day of all primaries. If we don't do it now, that means Benue State will not have a candidate. And for that reason, we want the electoral officer to be dispersed to these various areas so that they can turn in.
You do not have to be hard on yourself or be ashamed. Rather, speak out and get help so that the perpetrators can be brought to justice. This was the submission of inductees of the 2021-2022 Female Reporters Leadership Program FRLP held in Lagos. Plus TV correspondent Love Ikuku Oyedokun tells us more in this report.
This is a gathering of very powerful network of women in journalism. They have distinguished themselves in investigative journalism. Having gone through rigorous training, mentorship, produced stories and initiated leadership projects, they are now ready and poised to be inducted into the fellowship.
Look across our newsrooms, all of them, whether it's radio, print, broadcast, there's no question at all that women are underrepresented. And this initiative is very important because it empowers our women folk and then gives them the opportunity to take over the industry.
Doshima Abu, Bukola Samuel Wemimo, Kimberly Wachiku, Annette Felix are among the 21 female reporters added to the network for the year 2021-2022 fellows.
It's been career transforming and life changing. It has helped me to step outside of myself, step outside of my personal challenges and be more compassionate and be desirous of helping other people.
I started this program while I was, a staff, a reporter and presenter at Plus TV Africa, and the fact that, the station gave me that opportunity to also carry out a leadership project where I trained about 9 female reporters and interns at Plus TV Africa and do a story project about an issue that's so sensitive, that's sexual and gender-based violence. It really is an honor for me.
This fellowship is a blessing. I'm saying it with a wide smile on my face because, I've had people even call me to say, we need to have you come train other journalists outside my circle, outside my immediate environment, on a continental level to say, come and replicate what you've learned from this. Come and teach other journalists. Come to our school and teach young girls and young boys about sexual and gender-based violence. So it's not just about my job professionally growing and mentoring my colleague. It's about taking it to journalists who are outside my scope.
Over the months, we've seen a number of young girls, children, being raped by those who are supposed to protect them. And so this has made me more intentional about telling your story, going to them and telling those stories, and holding government accountable.
As damaging as sexual and gender-based violence is to the dignity and sanity of any person, they agreed that survivors must be willing to seek help.
We will not stop talking, we'll keep talking until something happens. And we'll keep reporting these issues until we see result. And that's the goal. That we'll not just tell reports, but when we tell this report, we get NGOs involved and we get every organs of government, anybody responsible involved until we see that we see that these stories come to a logical conclusion. Either those who perpetrate this ill are held to account or face the law.
I would say to someone who is a survivor of sexual and gender-based violence, do not be afraid to get help. You would get justice if you stick at it. Don't be quiet, don't be silent. This culture of silence is the reason why the perpetrators think they can get away with it and the cycle continues.
The induction of these 21 female reporters makes it 73 fellows since the inception of the fellowship started in 2017 and the Report on Women program since 2014. From Lagos, Love Ikuku Oyedoku, Plus TV News.
The Ondo State High Court, Akure, has sentenced 3 persons to death for killing Funke Olakunri, the daughter of the Afenifere leader, Chief Ruben Fasoranti. The deceased was killed by a convict along Benin-Ore Shagamu Expressway in the Ore-Odigbo local government area of the state in June 2019 on her way to Lagos State. Justice Williams Olamide found the trio, which are Awalu Abubakar, Mohammed Shehu, and Adamu guilty of getting involved in murder, kidnapping, and armed robbery, and were sentenced to death. Reactions have continued to show the emergence of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as the presidential flag bearer of the All Progressives Congress APC. That's on Street Views. Let's take a listen.
I'm not happy at all, because the way this country is going now, we need a vibrant young man, somebody that has something to move this country to the next level. Atiku Abubakar, I believe he will clinch the ticket of presidency, because he comes from North, where they always come with block vote. And I believe his people, his people will vote for him.
I tell you that I'm very, very happy. I'm from Adamawa State. And the opposition of the Tinubu is from Adamawa State. That's Atiku Abubakar. And I don't have anything that Atiku bring to Adamawa State when he was a vice president. And talk less of he want to become a president. So I prepare Tinubu more than Atiku. I have 80% assurance Tinubu will win this election. I don't think there is any doubt.
Actually, I'm partially happy. This is why I say I'm partially happy is that it's this set of people that are doing it. Not that he's not a good person or not, but is he going to stay on his word? Is he going to create employment? Look at Lagos now, transport, fighting, everything, and then that's not the issue. Chances against Abubakar is like, let me just say, 30-70. I give him 30 and I give Atiku 70.
I'm happy, because there's nobody that can match Atiku in that APC caucus. And if they place Tinubu and Atiku side by side, I will prefer Tinubu. He has affected so many lives. That is it.
To tell you the truth, I've not been happy ever since I heard that, to tell you the truth, because these same guys have been the people ruling over us. They've ruled our fathers. They deceived us the last time. Right now, I don't really know who to pick, but my mind goes for Peter Obi.
Let's give it to Tinubu. Atiku has no chance. He has no chance. I'm telling you. When it comes to politics, playing politics, intellect, give it to Tinubu.
I hope so. I know so. And I believe so.
Okay, why?
Why? Because he has plans. And he's been working on it. He has plans, and when you have a plan, then you'll be focused. He's a focused Nigerian, and he has done so much, but people, they misunderstand him.
This is the time for him to prove his popularity this time around, because he's contesting with the giant. The other one he did is a domestic election. This one is general. After that, what we now know, Atiku is very powerful. I can see it's only Atiku that is powerful. Kwakwaso and Obi, no.
And in other parts of Africa, at least 15 people have been killed in a horrific head-on collision that occurred in the early hours on Friday morning between a truck and a bus on the M17 metropolitan route in Patri Shrek, north of Sewanee. That's according to Thabo Maboso, spokesperson at the City of Sewanee Emergency Services. The 15 people were declared dead at the scene, while 37 people were taken to various Pretoria hospitals. At least 7 people sustained critical injuries, so the number of fatalities is expected to rise. Mabaso added that the cause of the accident remained the subject of an investigation by law enforcement agencies. Meanwhile, Alderman Theosen Grandi, the official in charge of community safety and emergency services in Sewanee, passed his message of condolences to the families of the deceased. He urged road users to drive on the road with caution at all times. And outside Africa, China's defense minister has arrived in Singapore for in-person talks with his U.S. counterpart on the sidelines of the Shangri-La Dialogue, Asia's premier security meeting. Chinese Minister of National Defense General Wei Fenghe and U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin met for their first face-to-face talks since the start of President Joe Biden's administration. Their meeting would focus on trying to ensure that broader tensions between the two countries do not spill over into military misunderstanding or miscommunication. And in entertainment news, South Korean boy band BTS has released a new album, Proof, in a highly anticipated return to the music scene as they celebrate the 9th anniversary of their debut this month. A music video for the new album's title track, Yet to Come, The Most Beautiful Moment, was released concurrently on YouTube and had recorded about 9 million views. The 7-member group, which last year became the first Asian band to win Artist of the Year at the American Music Awards, had met U.S. President Joe Biden at the White House to discuss hate crimes targeting Asians. And in sports news, Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah has been voted as Men's Player of the Year by his fellow professionals in England for the second time. Salah became only the 7th man to win the Professional Footballers Association award more than once after a season in which he scored 23 goals in the Premier League, tied for first with Tottenham's Son Heung-min, and had the league-leading 14 assists. Kevin De Bruyne, the star player for Premier League champion Manchester City, was looking to win the award for the third year straight. And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Adebanke Odunoyi. Thank you for watching.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and
appreciate for the moment, and I'm waiting for them to still be with me when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Nelly Uzonna Edith Uchendu was born in 1950 in Imuchu, in Aguata local government area of Anambra State, eastern Nigeria. She was a Nigerian singer, composer, and actress. Nelly started singing at an early age. She later joined Professor Sunny Oti's music group, under where her talent flourished. Her music career shot to limelight in 1976 when Homzy Sound released her debut LP composition, Love Wantinti. Thereafter, hits like Waka, Akabueze, and Mama Hauser further established her place in the Nigerian music industry. She traversed genres, including Igbo highlife, pop, and gospel music. She died on 12th of April 2005 in a hospital in Enugu State, Nigeria, after a reported cancer-related illness. She was aged 55. Salawa Abeni was born on May 5, 1961. She hails from Ekpe, division of Lagos State, southwest Nigeria. At the young age of 8, Salawa found her niche in Waka music. Waka music is an Islamic-oriented Yoruba musical genre. It was popularized by Alaja Batile Alake, in whose worthy steps Salawa Abeni dutifully followed. She was crowned Queen of Waka music by the Alafin of Oyo, Oba Lamidi Adeyemi, in 1992. Her debut album, titled Late General Murtala Ramat Mohammed, in 1976, was released on the Leader Records label. It became the first recording by a female Yoruba artist to sell over 1 million albums in Nigeria. Her music is a combination of talking drums, conga, saxophone, and keyboards, amongst other instruments. She has performed in and outside the country and has released up to 12 albums during her music career. Christy Uduak Esienigbokwe was born on 11th of November 1960 in Okat-Ona, Akwa Ibom State. She was a celebrated Nigerian musician and actress. Christy was 12 years old when her mother died. Her mother's friend in Aba, Abia State, took her in. She encouraged Christy to develop her singing. She even bought her a second-hand cassette recorder to tape her songs. With time, Christy became known as Nigeria's Lady of Songs. Her greatest hits include Sheonrere, Tete Nla, Ife, Hear the Call, and Give Me a Chance. She was the first female president of the Performing Musicians Association of Nigeria, PMAN, and the chairwoman and managing director of Soul Train Entertainment. She was fluent in many Nigerian languages, including Igbo, Ibibio, Efik, Hausa, Yoruba, and English. This made it easy for her to cross tribal limitations by singing in any language she desired. Her epic Shorere broke all language barriers. Whilst Akwa Ibom's meme is regarded as the unofficial anthem of Akwa Ibom State, such was her impact across the country that whatever language she used, her message evoked emotion and reflection. Onyeka Onwenu was born on the 31st of January 1952 in a small town in Imo State, but she grew up in Port Harcourt. She's a singer, a songwriter, actress, activist, journalist, and politician. The Nigerian press nicknamed her the Elegant Stallion. She released her debut album, From the Love of You, in 1981 while working with the Nigerian Television Authority. The album featured an orchestral cover of Johnny Nash's Hold Me Tight. Her second album, Endless Life, was produced by Sonny Okosun. Both were released on the EMI Records.
One love set you free. One love keep us together. Living in a world, it's a struggle just staying alive. One love.
Originally a secular artist, Onwenu made the transition to gospel music in the 90s, and most of her songs are self-penned. She describes her music as African pop. This consists of highlife, Afrobeat, blues, jazz, Igbo spiritual, and even juju, a typical Yoruba beat. She continues to write and sing about issues like health, HIV, peace, mutual coexistence, respect for human rights, the plight of children, as well as pride in oneself.
You and I will be as one.
You may want to ask why murals are important. It is no secret that murals make neighborhoods beautiful. They add color to building walls and streets which would otherwise go unnoticed. They are a treat for locals and tourists alike. Murals have been part of Nigeria's cultural landscape for thousands of years. The term mural became popular with the Mexican muralism art movement. The transformation which took place in the history of mural art during the 1920s and 1930s was highly influenced by the government's sponsorship in Mexico. The Mexican president Alvaro Obregón began a nationalist cultural program in the 1920s. As part of this program, the Mexican Ministry of Education and other government entities to create public murals. In Lagos, the visual effects of wall paintings are an excitement to attract public attention to social issues like the ones here under the Falomo Bridge. An artist, Poli Alakija, created these murals on the columns in homage to the Bring Back Our Girls, the 276 schoolgirls who were abducted on April 14, 2014 by Boko Haram. We speak to an artist, Ebenezer Omole, a 34-year-old who started off as a child and has been painting for many years. This is one of the locations where he has some of his works. He explains the processes involved.
There's a way I blow this color. When you look close to it, you see as if it's flowing down, it's flowing down. So I have to follow the flowing down, then blow it both left and right. So in order to make it creative, so that it won't just go down straight, but go left, right, and zigzag like that. I mix another black thicker than this, then to write what they have here. Especially like this is, we have food here, then we have swimming pool here, then we have games, then we have drinks here, then we have pools, music. So I just did an artwork that will speak for this place because this is a restaurant. So I did those backgrounds so to speak. So anybody coming inside, looking at this place alone, so they will know what is going on around there.
He speaks on the distinguished effects imbibed in artistic painting than ordinary ones on the wall.
Ordinary painting is just maybe changing the wall to a particular color that you like. Mural is very interesting, and I used to say it, no painting is complete without an artwork like this. So for your painting to come out well, so you need to add some artistic to it so that will make it more, because a lot of people in the world, they cherish artwork. Now, for example, now, this is lion. A lion represents a king, and the writing here, so it's all about this place, because this restaurant is not just a restaurant, it's a reggae restaurant. So that's why we have most of the color here, reggae color.
Ebenezer further explains that murals are a mode of expression for artists in every graphic style imaginable, abstract, photorealistic, expressionist, to name just a few.
Anyone who is into painting and had a mural painting into his work will get more job than just ordinary painting. No matter how bad situation a building have, when you design it with artistic, even though if it is hot or old building, when you paint it well with this mural artistic painting, it adds more value to the building, and it makes Lagos look more beautiful than
As a community centerpiece, the wall painting gets a new dimension as a powerful visual communication tool meant to promote the opinion of the people and transmit social and political messages towards unity. Murals bring art into the public space, and because they occupy public spaces, are accessible to everyone regardless of class, education, or ethnicity.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
Hello and welcome to Plus Events, your #1 diary show that brings the best and biggest events to your screen. I am Antonia Oshili, and on today's show, we have 3 interesting events that you would absolutely enjoy. First is Mr. and Mrs. Ladeinde's children dedication, which took place at the Citadel Global Community Church. Plus TV Africa was there to cover the joyous event.
The Ladende family dedicated the triplets at the Citadel Global Community Church with singing and dancing. The triplets, Ilerioluwa, Erioluwa, and Irioluwa are the first set of children of Temidola and Kayode Ladende after 12 years of marriage.
I want to thank God for everybody. The church in the house. 12 years.
The officiating pastor prayed for the family as the church rejoiced with them.
This is a testimony from the Lord, and it is just the tip of the iceberg. The testimony has become an encouragement for so many people, trusting God for the fruit of the womb and every other thing. God who did it for you will do it for them in Jesus' most precious name. Amen.
The church dedication was followed by a reception where the family continued celebration with friends and family. Couple shared their 12-year journey of waiting to have their children.
Many people are counting 12 years, but for us, it is actually 12 times 12. Because for every month, we were aiming to be pregnant. Do you know what that means? So on our coast, we were flying from Port Harcourt to Lagos. This woman was flying from Port Harcourt to Lagos just to achieve pregnancy. So you know what 12 times 12, 144 months of saying, let it happen, let it happen, let it happen, and finally it happened. One unique thing about how it happened, because everything I'm telling you, there are enough proofs. If you get to our bedroom, you will see 3 teddy bears. Those teddy bears were bought almost 7 years ago. 7 years ago. 3 lovely teddy bears. So every day we know that this day is going to come to pass. The rooms were built for 2 boys, 1 girl.
Yes, we held on to the word of God several times, but it was not easy. You know, someone said it the other time that they waited for 3 years. And every month, when Yoruba said it is Ibanuje Oshoshi, as in, it's a monthly sorrow. It is. Young ladies that are indulging in and enjoying sexual relationship. I mean, you're happy when your period comes as in, this month, okay, as in the pill worked or whatever I did worked. And it didn't, you know. But when you get married, that's when you know the value of menstrual period. So many suggestions. Someone even said to me, if I sleep with you, you will get pregnant. So many. The first time that somebody mentioned to me that what if God gives you triplets, it was in the office. Then I was working with MTN. And I told them, no, 2 is just okay.
Pastor Itua Igodalo shared his own story as he prayed for the triplets.
I understand what it means to be begging God for a child. My late wife and I, we begged God for over 11 years for a physical child of our own, and the children didn't come. The children didn't come, Because God had a plan, and God knew what he was doing. I want to tell somebody here, number one, that God has a plan for your life. And it is a good plan. I don't know somebody here today. Your own may not be physical. Your own might be financial or even mental. But I want to tell you that God has a plan for your life.
What I need to tell the people, anyone trusting God for the fruit of the womb is, this is a sign that God is alive and that he is willing. He's a good father. Whatever anyone wants, he's willing to make it happen even for them. The scripture tells us that it said there is hope for a tree that is cut down. At the scent of water, say it will begin to bud again. Don't lose hope. Don't give up. Once there is life, there is hope. Look at their own story. For every 4 years that they lived, they waited for. God gave them one. God is very humorous. And when he will come, look at the way he did it. Boy, girl, boy. There is hope. Look at their own story. For every 4 years that they lived, they waited for. God gave them one. God is very humorous.
The next event is on Walk for Mental Health, which was themed Inner Peace is Priority in commemoration of Mental Health Awareness Month. This walk event was organized by Gordon Barrett to create awareness about mental health.
People are taking advantage, public bodies are taking advantage of what's available within the mental health improvement state. Like we always say, every day should be a mental health day, and I'm happy to see this happening. But you can see from all indications, a very good demographic was represented. We had the younger ones, we have the older ones coming together. It means people are beginning to understand that mental health affects us all, irrespective of our age and gender. But one thing we've learned here today is that mental health is not discriminatory. Mental health is not respect of anyone. Anybody can have it any time in his or her lifetime. But this has been a very good program and it turned out I'm very impressed.
Actually, the walk is very supportive for the mental health because people that ignore mental health, it's very important in each house. You can see your partner, your wife, your kids, maybe they need help, but they will not show it to you. You have to ask them always, are you okay? Do you need any help? So mental health, it's really important for each one of us.
And finally, on this episode of Plus Events is the double celebration of life of Pa and Ma Davies, who died weeks apart. They passed away at the age of 93 and 84, respectively.
About my mother and my father, if I start now, I probably will not end till 2 days. But I will make it very, very short. My mother, she is a great woman. I have been on earth for over 60 years myself, and I've never seen a mother like her. When I was growing, my mother suffered a lot for me and my siblings. When she looks, if she doesn't eat, she will make sure that we eat. My mother surprises me so much that when I grew up, I said I was going to do whatever I can for her. My mother cannot be replaced. There is no way anything can replace my mother. There is no way.
My dad is he's into real estate, and I learned real estate from him. And every time we visited a place where he's got a brick making factory, and we go there and I help out in making bricks and stuff. So that actually set me up for my career in real estate and in engineering. And for my mom, she's a God-fearing woman, and because of her, I learned how to read in Yoruba and to pray in Yoruba. So I thank God for both of them and for what they've contributed to my life.
For me, I think I would say one of my fondest memories is when we were actually in England, and I had a T-shirt. It was a Simmons, the Simpsons or the Simmons, I can't even remember the band. And my dad left England to come back to Nigeria, and we were supposed to follow on. Unknown to my dad, he had packed that T-shirt in his luggage. And my mom was like, she had no rest because I raised hell. She had to wake up very early the following morning to go to the store to get me another T-shirt, because otherwise I wasn't willing to go to school. I wasn't willing to do anything, or I was just bawling my eyes out.
I want to say that the couple has been very, very kind to me when I was young. I remember when I was in the secondary school and I had difficulty about schooling, about financing and all that. I always run to this family, especially during holidays, for help. And indeed, they helped me at critical times.
I'll miss them so much, the way my grandmom jokes about some certain things and the way she talks to me. I'll really miss her so much. And my granddad, getting to know him at his old age was good, because he's a man of discipline. I learned a lot of things from him, learning to respect the elders. I learned that from him.
I know them quite well because when my friend got married to Ola, we used to visit them before they traveled abroad. I still visited Mama last year, and we had a time together. She was a very pleasant, very amiable person. We sat down together and sang songs. You know, Papa was also somebody who was very strong. The Lord gave him very good health. Up until when he died, you know, he was very active. He used to take long walks, you know, around the Keja axis where he lived. We thank God for their lives. Sang songs. You know, Papa was also somebody who was very strong. Gave him very good health. You know, he was very active. He used to take long walks, you know, around the Keja axis where he lived. We thank God for their lives. Sang songs. You know, Papa was also...
Scripture reading from 1 Thessalonians 4:13-18. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Jesus will God bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God. And the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore, comfort one another with these words.
church torí pé church náà ti pàdé ẹ bá mi fún wọn ní. màmá ti náwó ẹ lọ bí ara bá dìde pé ẹ má má dá ilé lóhùn o ẹ bá mi ṣí.
ìbọn tolúkọ wọn bó ṣe ti wọn.
ẹ má bínú mọ́ mi.
Well, that's a wrap for today. I hope you enjoyed the events on the show today. Remember, if you want to showcase your events to the world, Plus Events is the place for you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Antonia Oshili. Remain blessed and stay safe.
My name is Ola Awoshemon, and here is my good old days story. I was born and raised in the ancient city of Ile-Ife. My father was a civil servant, and my mother had a fairly large provision store which made her popular as a Iyalate. It's a common feature in those good old days to have other children from the extended family coming to live with their uncles or relatives. Our home was not an exception, as we had about 4 other cousins living with us. Life was good and we all lived together, slept on the same mat and ate from the same pot. But this was not without the usual competition of ensuring you are not lagging behind in any way. It was a decent academic competition that was much focused on hard work. And I tell you, there was no preferential treatment for us the biological children. Those were the days when communities raised children. I attended St. John's Catholic Primary School, Ukeaten, Ile-Ife, where I did my first 3 years primary education before I was moved to All Saints Primary School, Mefoworade, Ile-Ife, courtesy of an itinerant uncle who I lived the better part of my early life with. He was actually my potter's wheel. Our early life in the primary school was filled with lessons in morals, respect for elders, endurance, hard work, and honest lifestyle. So much lessons of life were taken from the JF Odunjo's Alawiye series, Igbo Olodumare and Ogboju Ode Ninu Igbo Irunmale by G.O. Fagunwa. The descriptive and writing prowess of those great writers were so apt that you could see in your inner mind the imagery of Ojola Iberu, Yemoja, Egbere, Sokoti Alagbede Orun, and other characters who, if we had met them physically, there would have been no challenge of identification. Those were days when we not only read to pass, but also read to understand and imbibe the morals in every story. My secondary education was equally a very interesting period at Osogbo Grammar School, Osogbo. It was an opportunity for a real native boy like me to meet with stylish Lagos boys and girls in those days, who would always come and tell us about the exploits of the great Thunder Balogun. Remember the story? Thunder, don't forget your left. Those were the days when our heroes were duly celebrated. In my secondary school, there were also people from the northern states and Midwest who also came in search of the golden fleece. We had great moments as students of Oshograms. Oshogram was another convergence of talents and focused minds. It was a period of decent competition and uncompromising determination for success. That was the training and the ethos we lived for in our days. My days at the University of Ife in the early 80s was equally an exciting period. Great Ife was fun all through. It was a period for sheer determination for success, and it was a period when students' politics was at its best. Only the highly cerebral with the gift of eloquence threw their ass into the rings of student politics. They were driven solely by their convictions and a passion to better the lots of students. I do not know if the same can be said of this present-day student unionism. Then life was easy. Government's feeding system was fantastic. It was a period where you have academic exchange programs with foreign students, Zimbabweans in particular, and lecturers from all over the world. It was a period of real quality education where certificates were never for sale. Hard work and honesty of purpose was a virtue. Oh, those good old days. It is, however, most disheartening and rather unfortunate that all the dictum about hard work and honesty is lacking among our youths today. It's now a race to get rich quick. It is equally a generation of it is those who know the way that will pass. It is a generation of money answereth all things. Values have been thrown to the dogs, and the upcoming ones no longer have an iota of respect for elders and culture. It is never too late to stop this fast leap to the precipice among our youths. We can have a cultural rebirth and a sound ethical orientation that will give our youths a better vision of a new day and a promising tomorrow that will outshine the good old days. We can make the giant leaps that will make the great differences in the lives of our youths. We can do it. We can change the narrative. When there is a will, there is always a way. I therefore join Sir Shemore Badejo in this determined drive towards a greater and more promising future for our youths. After all, the beautiful ones are not yet born. Thank you.
Nigeria, a fast-developing country with its challenges as far as jobs and remunerations in various professions are concerned. You may have been told many things about dentistry not being as lucrative as medicine in Nigeria, but just so you know, dentists in Nigeria are more or less like a medical doctor. They spend 6 years or more in dental school, a year compulsory housemanship, thereafter go for NYSC. Based on choice, the young graduate of dentistry comes back after 2 years of internship and youth service as a resident doctor, so as to become specialist or a dental consultant. Dental surgery is quite lucrative in Nigeria. It requires huge investments to set up a dental clinic due to the high cost of dental equipment. For example, a dental chair can be priced at almost 1 million naira, and you may require 2 or more in a dental clinic. Access to loans in this industry can prove quite challenging. But could this be due to the underestimating the importance of this industry, or a misconception that the practice of dentistry is not lucrative? Some dentists believe it is possible to earn way more than a general medical practitioner. It is possible for a dentist in private dental practice in Nigeria to make a profit of about 3 million naira monthly. Dentists are known to be one of the richest in the medical field.
Welcome to Ladies Talking Business. I am your host, Moremi Akon. On today's episode, we will be looking into the dentistry profession and how to run a successful private dental practice in Nigeria. Discussing this with me today is our guest, Dr. Olufumi Adeniyi, a dentist and the founder and clinical director of Lux Dental Clinic Limited. She is a graduate of dentistry from the College of Medicine, University of Lagos, with a Bachelor of Dental Surgery degree. She has over 10 years of experience in private dental practice. She also runs a not-for-profit dental advocacy foundation, the Smile Doctor Foundation, a platform through which she promotes oral health, healthy living, and wellness through advocacy and awareness. She loves giving people healthy, happy, confident smiles using dental tools and technology. She is the author of 2 books. Happy to have you on the show today, Dr. Adeniyi.
Thank you very much. Okay, so in this industry, where are we compared to other parts of the world?
I'd like to say that dentistry in Nigeria has made a lot of progress in the past few years, and with a lot of private practices, I'd say some practices are at par with other practices in the world, but because of probably the lack of finances, some are still there just trying to catch up, but I think we've made a lot of progress in dentistry in Nigeria.
Well, good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I own a dental practice.
Okay.
Yeah. What is the best way to attract new patients?
New patients. I'd say giving the clients you see excellent service delivery. So every client that passes through you is your ambassador. So they're telling others. Another is through advocacy. So educating the public about general oral health practices. So you teach people generally how to brush, how to do this, how to do that. Just free incentives. And when anyone has a problem, they just remember, oh, it was that doctor that was teaching me, and they find their way there. Obviously, social media is a huge platform nowadays that nobody should ignore. And I think with these 3, largely, you can make a lot of
Interesting.
impact.
Okay, so I know you have a lot of tips for us on how to start and run a profitable dentistry or dental practice. And I want tips that have worked for you. So can you give us some of them?
Okay. Really be an excellent clinician, because once you win the trust of people who come to you, your practice will grow with time. Give it time. I like to say businesses are like children, and so give it time.
So
nurture.
Give it time, like how much time?
It depends. It depends on your location. It depends on a lot of factors come into play. But when you survey your peculiar circumstances, then you can say, oh, give me 2-3 years, and then some people can say, oh, give me 1 year. Some people from the get-go, they're blazing. So it depends. There are many factors that come into play, really. Yeah.
Okay, so give it time. That's one tip.
Give it time. Yes.
Other tips.
Excellent clinical practice.
Okay.
Market, advertise, put yourself out there, let people know what you have. Use social media, make use of social media, make use of media, whatever it is that is available to you. The whole world is right in your pocket on your phone. Just get in front of the phone, let someone out there know what you have to offer, and don't compromise on clinical standards. And really, I believe that.
So in terms of training, so what specific training must a dentist have, to be able to start a practice?
Really, your 6 years in medical school is a lot, but then I believe you have to expose yourself to business training. And so over the years, I had a natural flair for entrepreneurship, selling, buying things. That gave me an edge, and then I applied myself to several fellowships available to women entrepreneurs, and there's so much you can get from those kind of platforms. There are many free platforms that you can get on also to learn basic entrepreneurship and the basic tips and tricks for running a business, because business, the the practice of dentistry is the business of health, and so you can't just be good in the clinical aspect. You must merge it with being good in business also. And so nobody will excuse you and say, oh, it's because you're a doctor that you don't know this. You have to know a little about everything, finances, HR, and if you're not good on it, you get professionals, hire professionals, part-time, whatever it is your budget can handle, but you must handle the clinical and the business aspect very well.
So would you advocate for having some form of business training?
Oh yes, absolutely. You can't go really far without that. I've come to realize it's easy to just stay in one place and feel fulfilled when you just have your clinical practice, but when you merge it with business, you can scale, you can decide that, oh, I'm going to do much more, I'm going to expand here, really.
Amazing. We'll talk more about this industry after the break.
Okay.
We will go on a quick break. Please stay with us.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Thanks for staying with us. This is still Ladies Talking Business, and our guest is Dr. Olufumi Adeni, a dentist and the founder of Lux Dental Clinic Limited. So, talking about this industry in Nigeria, in your own opinion, how can we improve this industry in Nigeria to make it world-class standard?
Number one is finances.
So like to pump in more money.
Pump in money, government, private government partnerships, public-private partnerships, businessmen investing in the business of dentistry, because there's a lot of medical tourism presently. A lot of people are going to Dubai, going to Turkey to get things that can be done right here in Nigeria. And so if the finances are pumped into dentistry, there's no limit to how we can take this. Everyone from Africa, Middle East can be coming here, because I realized that during the Christmas period, we have a high influx of clients that live abroad come into dental clinics, because dentistry is expensive abroad compared to Naira, because if you come into Nigeria with maybe pounds, it's easier for you to splurge on your dental health in Nigeria. And so the possibilities are endless if there is an infusion of funds to dentistry, to the average dental practice. And Nigerian banks also should please give loans to dental practices, healthcare.
Why is it difficult, in your opinion? Why do you think it's difficult for banks to give loans to healthcare practitioners?
I really don't know what the issue is. I really don't, because I've tried twice now with two different banks, but there's just always some, I don't know, a barrier of some sort.
Do you think the healthcare industry isn't profitable?
It's not impossible. It's not impossible. And it's not impossible that they've had bad experiences in the past, and so they just profile healthcare and say, these ones, they're there to care. They're not really big on business, yes. And so that might be it. But I don't know what it is. It's something that has to be discussed. Something we have to look into.
So you've spoken about government intervention.
Yes.
You've spoken about business people actually investing in the industry.
Yes.
You've talked about banks giving loans to the industry.
Yes.
So what else? How else do you think we can improve it?
Dentists can come together in mergers, partnerships, where I'm running a small 3-chair dental clinic, you're running a 4-chair, and we come together and we build something bigger. It's not something that is very common here yet, but I'm hoping in the next few years we'll begin to see more of that.
With collaborating in Nigeria?
I think it's an African thing, really. I think it's an African thing. There's just think to partnerships. People aren't really comfortable, maybe because we don't have the same values, we're not going the same way, and maybe it's just me, my family, and I think, I don't know what it is, but I think it's a cultural thing. It's not just in the healthcare system, it's a cultural thing. You rarely see businesses that have transcended a long time as partnerships. After a while, you realize that one has pulled back, two have left the thing to one person, and also I think it's a cultural thing we need to overcome. There's much more we can do when we come together. I believe that strongly.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So thanks for giving us tips on how we can improve the industry. So let's talk about the challenges that, let me say, every dental practice is likely to face. Can you tell us about some of them?
Finances. Dentistry is capital intensive. A single dental unit runs into thousands of dollars. That's if you're doing the bare. And dentistry, with all our equipment, there's the C grade, there's the B grade, there's the A grade, the Rolls Royce of dentistry, and everything is cost intensive. So you cannot talk about dentistry without talking about money, even down to the little products we use for basic cleanings, basic fillings. They run into thousands, hundreds of thousands of naira, thousands of dollars. And so money, you cannot talk about running a dental practice without money. Yeah, and then the courage to do it afraid and launch on your own and just believe that, yes, it'll work out and I can do it. In our climate, where you have to run your gen yourself, you have to power your borehole, you have to do a whole lot yourself, and then manpower. There's a brain drain in the medical sector presently. I have some colleagues that have been looking for staff for months. Everyone is leaving for Canada, for the UK, and so. As a private practitioner, I'm here now, but I have doctors that are running the clinic in my absence. But if you don't have that, there's a limit to how much you can thrive as a dentist. And as I said before, there's a whole lot of running the business beyond the clinical practice. And so you need other people that you can lean on to run the practice. So when there's a deficiency of all this, it can really hamper a lot.
Wow. So we have the financial challenge,
yes.
Lack of manpower.
Yeah.
What else?
We said infrastructure, just general infrastructure, the climate, the environment where we find ourselves, really.
Okay, so we just spoke about expensive equipment,
yes,
ranging in thousands of dollars,
yes.
Hundreds of thousands of naira. So how has technology helped to improve this industry, especially in Nigeria? I mean, from your experience in the industry, how do you think it has helped?
Dentistry is one profession that is almost entirely hinged on technology. Everything we do, our chair is a piece of technological art. Our everything is hinged on technology. So I don't think there's a whole lot we can do without technology. So as technology grows, as there's an increase, dentistry progresses also. And so there's a huge interdependency of dentistry and technology.
Okay, so what other aspects of technology do you think we haven't embraced in Nigeria yet in this industry?
Okay, so that would be specific to different practices, because there's some practices that run every single thing you'll get in a standard clinic in a first world country in Nigeria because they've been around for a while and they have the resources, while there's some that are just coming along, we're just getting there and we're aspiring and we're hoping and we're building there. And so really I think it's a function of where you find yourself and what is available to you, really. Yeah, but you have a lot of state-of-the-art clinics here in Nigeria, in Lagos, Abuja, several places.
Yes, and I actually agree with what you said, that the dentistry itself depends a whole lot on technology.
Absolutely on
and
technology.
It's been like that, right?
From the beginning, yes. From the beginning, yes.
Interesting. More conversations coming up. So more conversations coming up with our guest after the break.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent.
On the button, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
I'm still here with Dr. Olufumi Adeni, the clinical director of Lux Dental Clinic Limited. So, you've given me a lot of tips now. I've gone to school and I'm a dentist.
Yeah.
So, how can one build a reputable brand? As a healthcare professional, what are your tips?
Excellent clinical practice. So, know your dentistry. You must know your dentistry. So, if you have to go for update courses, those are like refresher courses where you revisit everything you've been taught in school so you're up to date. Please do that. But excellent clinical practice. If you paint everywhere beautifully and everything is looking good and you have your good media, but the foundation of clinical practice is poor, then there's nothing really for it to rest. So your clinical prowess is the foundation, and then media. I've always said that, like media, infrastructure, as much as possible, get better equipment. If you can get something that will make it faster, invest in it, because it increases the client experience, the customer experience, increases the excellence that they feel. Invest in doing your place up nice. If you have a practice, try to invest in some comfortable. People love to take pictures. Make your clinic a place where they can take pictures. Make it a place where they can be comfortable. I have people come in for procedures and they bring their whole family with them because they know that it would be a very nice experience, really. So invest in as much anything you can to make the client really comfortable when they come in. It's worth the expense.
I agree with you. So, doctor, I'm not going to bring you here and make you sit on this chair without you giving us some dental tips.
Okay.
So, tell us how to better care for our teeth, cavity, and all those things.
Okay, so the foundation is brushing your teeth twice a day. Morning and night, because a whole lot gets stuck in your mouth. So the night one is not negotiable. It's a whole lot of things you've eaten, you're talking, you're spitting, you're swallowing, you're drinking, you're kissing, whatever. There's a whole lot happening in your mouth all the time, and so brushing is just basic cleaning it out, and then investing in a good dental floss. No toothpicks. No toothpicks. No toothpicks, because toothpicks are really big. The diameter is way larger than the normal interdental space between your teeth. And so when you're wedging a toothpick in, you're damaging your gums, you're affecting the enamel of your tooth, and so you're destroying healthy tooth tissue and causing gum disease eventually. There's so many complications to using a toothpick. So invest in a dental floss. Just pass it in.
Common man in court know that they are meant to use a dental floss.
Well, that's why we try, we say these things online. We try to run ads to get people to know it, but there's a whole lot that needs to be done, and I believe that one step at a time we'll get this out. No hard toothbrushes also. I need to say that, because people say, okay, yes, now I'm going to brush, and then they invest in hard toothbrushes and they're brushing and scrubbing like, no, that's not it. Your tooth is a living tissue, and so you take care of it with tender care with a soft or a medium toothbrush, where you're going a circular motion or an up and down, just a light flick, where you're taking from your gums out, like you're sweeping the dirt away. Same thing from bottom up, and then your tongue, and then your tooth. Yes.
I saw a video not so long ago about a dentist advising people on how to clean their tongue, and it's completely different from what a lot of us are used to. We're used to he was just saying use the side of your toothbrush to just brush it
out. Well, there are many different schools of thought.
Okay.
But the point is being gentle with your tongue, because there's also the tendency to just you're at war with that tongue and all. So gently just brush out the whatever food, because food particles also get stuck there. And when your tongue is dirty, you realize that no matter how well you brush, your mouth doesn't smell as good, your breath doesn't smell as fresh as it should. And so just the light brushing. There's also things that are called tongue cleaners that you just use to lightly scrub out all the dirt from your tongue. And then you cannot escape this, visiting a dentist every
That was going to be my next question. How often should I visit a
every
dentist?
6 months.
Wow.
6 months is even being, some people, when we look into their mouths, they should do every 4 months because they're prone to accumulate a lot of calculus. You cannot afford to depend on your toothbrush. Your toothbrush is not enough to take care of your oral health care needs. Your toothbrush is not built to carry that load of getting.
So how long should I use my toothbrush for?
Every 3 months, you should change your toothbrush. And if you have a cold or you're ill, you should change your toothbrush because your oral microbes change when you're ill, when you have a cold and all. And so you don't want to carry that same thing over when you're feeling better. So you change your toothbrush every 3 months and after. And then once you notice sometimes it's not even 3 months and your brush is fraying, like it's falling apart, just change it. Yes.
Okay, just before I let you go, doctor, as a business owner and a medical practitioner, what keeps you going? What motivates you?
What motivates me? The desire to employ people first, for me, and then the desire to see people have healthy smiles. There's something about when a person comes into your clinic with pain, or they come in with malocclusions where their teeth are not in the right position, and after a few months with braces, their smiles are on top of the world. Or people come in with tetracycline stains and then they get veneers and they have bright smiles and they're flashing their smiles everywhere. There's a confidence that comes once your mouth is in tip-top shape.
It's perfect.
Yes, there is a confidence. I've seen it over and over again. There are people that begin to chase a new set of women, some men, when they get their teeth, because they feel like, yes, I'm now a fine guy.
But I actually find women or people who have, especially women who have done their teeth with veneers and all that, I find them gorgeous. Like, it's
different. Absolutely. Your teeth are like the pillars of your face, because you'd realize that when people lose their teeth, either with old age or over time, you see that their face begins to sink, their eyes begin to look sunken. They just have a general old, shrill, frail look. But once those teeth come back in place, your face just comes alive. Really, your face comes alive. I like to tell people that if you invest in your smile and your skin, you don't need to invest in a whole lot, like people that pay so much for hair and makeup all the time and all that. Once your teeth and your skin are like in good condition, you realize that there's not much you need to add to this.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. Wish you the very best.
Thank you.
This is how far we can go on this dental episode of Ladies Talking Business. Do join us this same time next week for another episode. Don't forget to follow us on Plus TV Africa Lifestyle on YouTube to catch up with our programs. I am Moremi Akol. Bye for now.
Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria with 351,861 hectares of land, is the authentic home of every tribe and tongue in Nigeria. The state, though small in landmass, is controversially the most populous state in the country. One of the neighborhoods in the state is Obalende, located in Etiosa local government area. The area is strategically a historic site because before the relocation of administrative capital from Lagos to Abuja, it was the seat of power of the military head of state, the Dodon Barrack. Historically, a Royal West African Frontier Force, predominantly Hausa men, were initially camped on the land where the famous King's College is situated. Then there was a need for the use of the land, and the Oba of Lagos was said to have pressured the governor of Lagos to resettle the Hausa men and sold the land in what is now Obalende to the British colonial masters. After resettlement in the purchased land, the Royal West Africa Frontier Force men named the place Ibiti Obalewade, which translates to the place where the king drove us to. Obalende, though crowded, is famous for its nightlife and for its suya sport, with a junction popularly called Suya Junction. For ease of administration, former governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, created additional 37 local council development areas from the existing 20 local council areas. So the current Obalende is carved out under Ikoyi Obalende Local Council Development Area. Ikorodu town is another historic location in Lagos, located in the northeast area of the state along the Lagos Lagoon and shares a boundary with Ogun State. Currently, the town houses Ikorodu local government area and 5 local council development areas. Kabiru Shotobi is the king of Ikorodu, traditionally known as Ayogbunre of Ikorodu, who ascended the throne from October 24, 2015. The name Ikorodu came about from people whose ancestors descended from the Remo stock of Yoruba tribe who came to settle on a plateau and named it Ikorodu, a shortened word from Oko Odu, which literally means Odu, farm. The current metro area population of Ikorodu in 2021 is 989,000, a 5.44% increase from 2020. Trading, farming, and manufacturing are some of the things Ikorodu is known for. Ikeja is the capital of Lagos State, formerly called Akeja. It was named after a deity of the Awori people of Ota, who originally settled there. The area was invaded for slaves until the mid-19th century. Ikeja, an abbreviation meaning of Ikorodu and Ekpe joint administration, was coined by colonial administrators for ease of administration. It is the official seat of the governor of the state, where the state secretariat is also located. It is also where the domestic and international airports are located. Its population as of 2006 census is 330,196. Ikeja is home to one of West Africa's largest gadget markets, popularly known as Computer Village, and home to a shopping mall known as Ikeja City Mall, which is the biggest mall in Lagos mainland and also has a cinema. These are some interesting places that make Lagos a world-class destination.
Financial inclusion has been a great challenge across the world, especially in Africa, with great opportunities for financial services on the micro level. The value of point-of-sales transactions made in Nigeria jumped to 3.01 trillion naira in the first half of 2021, with a total volume of 462.11 million transactions in the same period. Now, these represent a 50% increase compared to the 2 trillion naira recorded in the corresponding period of 2020 and a 10.3% increase against 2.72 trillion naira recorded in the second half of 2020. However, stakeholders want the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents of Nigeria, AMBAN, to stem the rising trend of alleged POS customer data mining, which has led to people's money being stolen from their bank accounts. We will focus on these issues surrounding mobile money operations in Nigeria, the opportunities and the future of it. Welcome to Business Insights on Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye.
Writing an informal proposal. The thought of writing a proposal overwhelms many people, but the task does not have to be daunting. Informal proposals are written when people need to ask permission to make a purchase, undertake a project, or write a paper. This type of proposal is a way of persuasively putting forth an idea and asking for action to be taken on that idea. When writing a proposal, consider who will read the proposal and what that person may or may not already know about what you are proposing. Follow these steps when writing a proposal. 1. State your purpose. Do this clearly and concisely so that the reader knows immediately why you are writing. 2. Give some background information. Explain why you are proposing your suggestion so that the reader has a better understanding of the problem. 3. State a solution to the problem. This is where you give specifics about your suggestion. 4. Show costs. Lay out any costs that will be involved. 5. Conclusion. Wrap it up by restating the problem and the proposed solution.
Now, the increase in the value of POS transactions in Nigeria shows the spending patterns of Nigerians and payment preferences as compared to cash payments. However, we will talk about some of the issues that came up when AMBEN paid a visit to the House Committee on Banking and Currency, as well as complaints of theft, counterfeited currency, and training for agents. I'm now being joined by the National Publicity Secretary of AMBAN, Oluwasegun Elegbede. Many thanks for joining us on Business Insight and Plus TV Africa, Oluwasegun.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, it is our pleasure. Let's just dive straight into it now. You know, there have been talks as regards fake alert, and the House asked the central bank to introduce stringent regulations for POS business. As an association, AMBAN, so what's your position on this recently? I know you had a briefing concerning that.
Yes, one of the reasons why we had that press conference was actually to put things into the right perspective. Some of those items that were mentioned in the motion actually not as it is. I would say in the motion it was alleged that POS operators, POS agents do fake alerts. For one, I can tell you that actually POS agents are victims of these fake alerts.
Explain, please.
Because it is the bad element in the public that come around pretending that they need cash. And they will tell you they don't have their ATM cards with them. They have perfected this cloning of fake alerts. And then most of the time they visit outlets where the owners of these outlets are not there, where they have, we use some staff. Most of them are school SATs holders. So when they visit, the staff will have to call the boss to know if the boss has gotten value for the transfer the customer claims to have made. And then, they do it in such a way that the owner will say to the staff that you can release cash. And then
but why would the owner say they can release cash when they actually haven't gotten alerts?
Because what they have done is to clone the alert of the banks. And they are suspecting owner of or even the agents. Sometimes they may meet the person himself at his outlet. What happens is that, in the rush to serve this customer, they exchange cash, and after they must have left, they discover that this customer has just come to dupe me. They have gone away. So we are actually victims of this crime, as has been said at the floor of the House of Assembly by Honorable Olajide Jimoh. we acknowledge the fact that, yes, some of these things happened, but our members are actually victims. Number two that he said is that there are counterfeit notes. Yes, we have received a lot of incident cases from our members across the country where people, they'll come with large sum of money, they want to do quick transfers to get some goods and all of that, and they will have fake notes, just few original ones on the top, and they just guard it somehow, and they use this they put pressure on the owner of the outlet to release cash. And these are things that as AMBAN we try to train our members for. How to attend to customer, how not to be under pressure, so that you can be in charge, in control. When the customer walks into your outlet, you are not under his control. You need to be very calm in attending to them, so that you can actually get to see if you are collecting a counterfeit notes.
Let's talk about the counterfeited bills, for one more minute. And you talked about how your association, that is AMBAN, train members on how they need to, be calm so they don't fall victims. So over time, do you also train your members on how to identify these counterfeited bills when they're being presented to them?
Of course, that is one of the we made in our meetings. We try to let them know the true features of the Naira notes, the different denomination, for them to be able to identify. And then we also have been able to get in some supplies of machines, the small ones at very reduced rates that they can even have at the outlets, and then to also use to validate if the notes they are collecting are counterfeited or not. So this is part of what the association is doing.
Okay, well, let's still talk about the sanity in this particular industry or association, as it were. Because if you look at it now, practically every street, every nook and cranny you go around Nigeria, you see POS operators or agents rather, mounting, their services, operating sometimes at very, secluded places. Sometimes are just umbrellas and chairs. Some do with the regular kiosk. But what is the standard really, and how do you ensure that there is sanity in the system? Because I also hear that you are starting some sort of a task force.
Let me say this: we are in agreement with the House to have some sort of sanity in our industry, in our business space. We are in agreement with them. If there's any stakeholder in this business space that has been clamoring for this enforcement of guidelines, it is AMBAN. And so we are in agreement of that. And let me say this, in the motion, it was also posited that there are no guidelines. Our business is not an happenstance. It was a deliberate effort of the government to cushion the effect of poverty, and so to also deepen financial inclusion to the last mile. That was why this sector of the business was created. So having said that, there's a guideline. And so we also are of the opinion that the guideline must be strictly enforced. We understand when this started like 10, 11 years ago, before you can become a mobile money or bank agent, you must have a brick and mortar or kiosk. An address that is traceable, that if anybody has any issue, they can easily. In fact, at that time, you also would need a letter from the community head or your market leader to also identify you, that we know him, because you'll be dealing with the public fund. So what we have today, that we have agents under the umbrella, under the trees, are pure violation of the guidelines. And these are the things that we frown at our level, that if these are not nipped in the bud, we are sitting on the keg of gunpowder. And so the association wants this enforcement of the guidelines that we have, the framework of the CBN. However, what we don't want is that there shouldn't be any disconnect between the government and we that are really at the last rung of the ladder. We want them to sit with us let them hear from us so that we can give them the realities that is obtainable out there. They can't just make laws for us when they do not even understand how the business operates. So that is where we are.
Okay. All right, Oluwasegun, I'll take a quick break, but when I come back, I will also need you to, just give us some, clear way to go as regards some gray areas that people have talked about. For instance, there are talks about, the POS merchant all the surrounding banks, and they allegedly make the ATMs not to work. It's still Business Insight on Plus TV Africa. We still have Oluwasegun Elegbede with us in the studios. We'll take a quick break and return with more. Do join us again.
This Medan has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
When I start hearing the shoot of gun.
Whatever I've done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
Welcome back to Business Insight on Plus TV Africa. We're looking at financial inclusion vis-a-vis the operations of mobile money and, of course, bank agents in Nigeria to ensure sanity, because there have been lots of complaints, concerning the operations. And we have Oluwasegun Elegbede with us here in the studios. So, Oluwasegun, let's talk more concerning that. Is there any truth to the fact that these POS operators, they allegedly, it sounds funny though, they allegedly, make, I don't know, maybe some sort of collaboration, or maybe with bank officials, or I don't know, sometimes you notice that they're always around banks, and somehow the ATMs don't work, and lo and behold, you have the POS agents to your rescue.
Yeah, just like I've said, there are allegations and they are laughable. One of the roles that we have come to play, and then I will say categorically that if all mobile money and bank agents down tools today, the banks cannot handle the traffic that they generate. They cannot.
Because practically most people don't even go for bank for withdrawals or transfers these days.
These days you see people with their shorts just walk out of their room to the nearest outlet to make withdrawals. So the fact is, there are different networks that's the different switches, the banks, ATM, the POS, even with POS A and POS B, there are different switches. You discover that the next outlet will tell you it doesn't have network on its POS terminal. Then you discover that when you go to the next one, you are able to do your transaction. Does it mean the POS A has sabotaged the network of POSB? No. Just like you have for telcos, where you can say there's no network on your own line, and another person will say, I have network here. That is how this operates. It is pure technology. But when you see that people swarm around ATM points, number one, that is even wrong, because you're not supposed to hawk.
Yeah, they're supposed to have the visible locations.
It's a visible location. You're not supposed to hawk. It is not bread and puff. This is financial service. You have to be in a standard location where people come to you, because you must record your transactions. So when you see people walk around, because they know that there's a limit to what they can load in the machines. And then on weekends, most times, the bank staff have gone home. They only come back to check and reload. So at that point, between the time the machine is not dispensing again and the point they are reloaded, that availability gap is what the POS agent that hawk around make use of, or those that even have outlets around the banks. There's nobody sabotaging. The fact is, we have a large population that the banks, as we have them today, cannot cater for.
All right, let's try and understand something else now. You talked about mobile money operators, you talked about bank agents. I'll need you to just give a bit of a differentiation between both of them. And then again, is this an all-commerce affair as it is right now? Or because sometimes you find people ordinarily, it's as though practically everywhere you go, you just see people with POS, even those who do other business, they just put the POS on the side, and they also say they are agent as well. So I need you to explain the difference between a mobile money operator and, of course, the bank agent or POS agent, as it were, and how accessible is it to just get a POS?
Okay, so there are two set of institutions that are in the are playing in the field. We have the bank-led and the non-bank-led. The bank-led, I mean, you have some banks who have the core agency banking structure. They have it. I don't want to begin to mention names. Then you also have the non-bank-led, the MMOs, who also have the license to operate as a player in the industry. So you can get provided by any of these set of institutions. That is one. Number two, it is not an all-commerce affair. It is just because of the enforcement of the framework and guidelines that we're talking about that is not really in place. And that's why we, as an association, are talking about self-regulation, because we see that things are going down the drain, and we know what efforts some of the pioneers of this business have put in, and we do not want that to go to waste. So it is not an all-commerce affair. Number one, you need to have a visible location. You need to be known. Of course, it's like you're opening a bank account. All the requirements of opening a bank account are required for you to supply it, to have a provider with any of the institutions that you have chosen. And then, of course, there has to be spacing. What we have today is that you see agents cluster around a small area in a place where you just have 50
They seem to be so
residents.
localized.
I mean, one person is serving that 50 people. Then you see that in the next 2 months, another 5 has come. The customers are not increasing.
So how does Amban ensure that that does not happen?
That is what the task force that we have inaugurated now, it's going to ensure across the nation. The task force is going to begin to go out. We piloted this last year in Oyo State, and we saw the result. We went out and we saw that many of these agents are just operating. They don't have any record of any kind. And these are things that are just primary requirements. As an agent, you must have your record book where you record your transactions. If anything happens in 2018, then you go back to your record, open it, and I mean, it has saved a lot of people. But what you find out today is that even transaction of yesterday, some agents will tell you they don't have any record for it.
So invariably, they should be keeping records of every transaction.
Every transaction. Any type of transaction, because in transaction, we mean withdrawal, we mean deposit, we mean bill payments.
Okay.
So all of these have to be in a proper book with the dates. And that is how you are able to also track your own fund to know if you are making profit or not. So you don't just get into the business just to throw away money. That is what majority of the people are doing out there.
All right. But I know this in so many ways, has helped a lot of unemployed youths, because practically most people wouldn't just want to fold their arms. School leavers have taken, into this particular business. But then again, I need to understand one more thing. Would you say the banks are, in a way, liable, with this issue of proliferation of POS agents all over the place? Because I've heard a school of thought say that most times they just want to meet target, and also they just go about giving POS randomly. Is this true?
Yeah, I would say yes. Not banks alone now. The MMOs too.
Okay, the mobile money operators.
If there are people that really have this nonchalance attitude to our approach to enforce the guidelines, I mean, there are some players who will tell their agents that being their principal, they will tell them, don't join AMBAN. And we are telling them, we are not in competition with you. It is for us to have sanity in the business space so that everybody will be fine. Now, if all of us come together, as everybody in the value chain come together, we understand the problems that we have, and we see to how we can resolve all of this and have a better business space, better for us. We cannot say, and in all of this, they invest more. And there were times gone by where, some of them were observing these guidelines.
Okay.
But when they saw that some people were not doing same, they joined the fray. It's now like Banana Republic. That is what we are saying. That's why we are saying we do not want this kind of situation.
All right. We just believe and hope that in a matter of time, a very small time, that these issues that would be adequately addressed, and all of this insanity that we find in this particular sector will be completely be done with over time. And we must say a very big thank you to you as well for finding time to join us to look at all of these issues.
Thank you for having me.
All right, indeed, we have been speaking with Oluwasegun Elegbede. He is the National Public Relations Officer of AMBAN, which is the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents of Nigeria. That's the size of the show for today. I am Justin Akadunye. Let's do it again next time. Bye for now.
This medal has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
We now start sharing the shoot of gun.
Whatever I've done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Event is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely, right? No question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry.
You're watching Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Reading is an essential habit and a culture that must be developed. Nigerians are generally believed to have a poor reading culture. The role of government in promoting reading and equipping reading spaces and libraries in Nigeria cannot be underestimated. But first, we must look at the development of reading habits from the home and the role parents play in encouraging their children.
My parents, my mom used to be a teacher, so reading was obviously part of a curriculum. And then my father used to be a professor and is an author. So I started reading very, very early, and I started reading books that were higher than my age grade. I was reading African Writer series from age 7, age 8, and reading encyclopedias by that time. So obviously my parents had a huge part and encouraged that in me.
In the Nigerian book market, there's a high influx of foreign authors writing for children, but very few Nigerian authors telling relatable, homegrown Nigerian stories.
If you start out reading stories even to your baby, even before they're 1, and then as they get older, buy appropriate materials that are colorful, with easy to read words, and read with them. I think that helps.
Adedotun Enyade, a co-founder of Robin Heights, a leading bookstore in Nigeria, has tips for Nigerian authors and how they can improve on their work and get into the hearts of readers.
The story has to be good, right? If you're writing, whatever you're writing, if you're writing fiction, if you're writing non-fiction, it has to be really, really compelling, one. Next thing would be in terms of the packaging, right? People have gone past the era where you just take your books to just about any printer to print for you. I think, publishers, self-published authors as well, they need to invest in ensuring that the quality of the book, the final output is one that would stack up with any book published elsewhere in the world. So that's really important. Then I think what would be the most important tip for me to them would be just they need to invest in marketing.
The book business, like any other business, is challenging.
If you ask anyone who's running the business in Nigeria, they will tell you capital, of course, right? Book selling is also, as with any other business, is also quite capital intensive. Getting to pay your rent, getting to actually buy the books and stock up your shelves when you have them. Hiring good people requires decent amount of capital. So I would say it's getting the startup funds to set up something. And then if you're looking to do it at scale like we're hoping to do, then it also requires you raising funding, which isn't readily available in commercial banks, right? I don't think a bank would say they want to give you a loan to set up a bookstore. They probably will be skeptical about the number of people who read. So for us, I think it's just I would say capital is at the top of the totem pole.
It is commendable that certain individuals and organizations are making concerted efforts to revive the reading culture in the country. The government should also redesign the school curriculum to incorporate more reading activities in primary and secondary schools.
Good evening, I am Adebanke Odunori and this is the news update. The All Progressives Congress APC has commenced the rerun gubernatorial primaries in 12 local government areas of Benue State, which include Ogbadigbo, Oshongo, Konshisha, Agatu, Ohimini, Ado, Oju, Kwado, Okponku, Obi, Akpa, and 3 wards of Mbaya, Mbakpen, and Biven in Buruku. The gubernatorial rerun is coming on the heels of the recommendation by both INEC and the APC Governorship Appeal Panel that was set up to look into the issues surrounding the primaries, which was earlier held on 26th and 27th of May through direct method. Briefing newsmen during the distribution of the election materials at the party's secretariat in Makurdi, Chairman Benue State Governorship Rerun Committee Joel Omajali said the exercise was delayed due to the party's special convention held in Abuja.
For giving us the audience and the reception yesterday while we entered Makurdi very late. And the reason being that the national assignment that was going on in Abuja delayed us. But the fact that we have a timeline for this exercise, we decided to move from Abuja and we arrived there very late. This exercise is going to be brief because we are supposed to turn in our results back to Abuja by 5 this evening. Today is the last day of all primaries. If we don't do it now, that means Benue State will not have a candidate. And for that reason, we want the electoral officer to be dispersed to these various areas so that they can turn in.
You do not have to be hard on yourself or be ashamed. Rather, speak out and get help so that the perpetrators can be brought to justice. This was a submission of the inductees of the 2021 Female Reporters Leadership Program, FRLP, held in Lagos. Plus, TV correspondent Love Ikuku Oyedokun tells us more in this report.
This is a gathering of very powerful network of women in journalism. They have distinguished themselves in investigative journalism. Having gone through rigorous training, mentorship, produced stories and initiated leadership projects, they are now ready and poised to be inducted into the fellowship.
Look across our newsrooms, all of them, whether it's radio, print, broadcast, there's no question at all that women are underrepresented. And this initiative is very important because it empowers our women folk and then gives them the opportunity to take over the industry.
Doshima Abu, Bukola Samuel Wemimo, Kimberly Wachiku, Annette Felix are among the 21 female reporters added to the network for the year 2021-2022 fellows.
It's been career transforming and life changing. It has helped me to step outside of myself, step outside of my personal challenges and be more compassionate and be desirous of helping other people.
I started this program while I was, a staff, a reporter and presenter at Plus TV Africa, and the fact that, the station gave me that opportunity to also carry out a leadership project where I trained about 9 female reporters and interns at Plus TV Africa and do a story project about an issue that's so sensitive, that's sexual and gender-based violence. It really is an honor for me.
This fellowship is a blessing. I'm saying it with a wide smile on my face because, I've had people even call me to say, we need to have you come train other journalists outside my circle, outside my immediate environment, on a continental level to say, come and replicate what you've learned from this. Come and teach other journalists. Come to our school and teach young girls and young boys about sexual and gender-based violence. So it's not just about my job professionally growing and mentoring my colleague. It's about taking it to journalists who are outside my scope.
Over the months, we've seen a number of young girls, children, being raped by those who are supposed to protect them. And so this has made me more intentional about telling your story, going to them and telling those stories, and holding government accountable.
As damaging as sexual and gender-based violence is to the dignity and sanity of any person, they agreed that survivors must be willing to seek help.
We'll not stop talking, we'll keep talking until something happens. And we'll keep reporting these issues until we see result. And that's the goal. that will not just tell reports, but when we tell these reports, we get NGOs involved and we get every organs of government, anybody responsible involved until we see that we see that these stories come to a logical conclusion. Either those who perpetrate this ill are held to account or face the law.
I would say to someone who is a survivor of sexual and gender-based violence, do not be afraid to get help. You would get justice if you stick at it. Don't be quiet, don't be silent. This culture of silence is the reason why the perpetrators think they can get away with it and the circle continues.
The induction of these 21 female reporters makes it 73 fellows since the inception of the fellowship started in 2017 and the Report on Women program since 2014. From Lagos, Love Ikuku Oyedoku, Plus TV News.
The Ondo State High Court, Akure, has sentenced 3 persons to death for killing Funke Olakunrin, the daughter of the Afenifere leader, Chief Ruben Fasoranti. The deceased was killed by convicts along the Benin-Ore-Shagamu Expressway in the Ore-Odigbo local government area of the state in June 2019 on her way to Lagos State. Justice Williams Alamide found the trio, who are Awalu Abubakar, Mohammed Shehu, and Adamu guilty of getting involved in murder, kidnapping, and armed robbery, and sentenced them to death. Reactions have continued to trail the emergence of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as the presidential flag bearer of the All Progressives Congress. That's on Street Views. Let's take a listen.
I'm not happy at all because the way this country is going now, we need a vibrant young man, somebody that has something to move this country to the next level. Atiku Abubakar, I believe he will clinch the ticket of presidency because he comes from North where they always come with block vote. And I believe his people will vote for him.
I tell you that I'm very, very happy. I'm from Adamawa State. And the opposition of the Tinubu is from Adamawa State. That's Atiku Abubakar. And I don't have anything that Atiku bring to Adamawa State when he was a vice president. And talk less of he want to become a president. So I prepare Tinubu more than Atiku. I have 80% assurance Tinubu will win this election. I don't think there is any doubt.
Actually, I'm partially happy. This is why I say I'm partially happy is that it's this set of people that are doing it. Not that he's not a good person or not, but is he going to stay on his word? Is he going to create employment? Look at Lagos now, transport, fighting, every day and then. That's not the issue. Chances against Abubakar is like, let me just say, 30-70. I give him 30 and I give Atiku 70.
I'm happy because there's nobody that can match Atiku in that APC caucus. And if they place Tinubu and Atiku side by side, I would prefer Tinubu. He has affected so many lives. That is it.
To tell you the truth, I've not been happy ever since I heard that, to tell you the truth, because these same guys have been the people ruling over us. They've ruled our fathers. They deceived us the last time. Right now, I don't really know who to pick, but my mind goes for Peter Obi.
Let's give it to Tinubu. Atiku has no chance. He has no chance. I'm telling you. When it comes to politics, playing politics, intellect, give it to Tinubu.
I hope so. I know so. And I believe so.
Okay, why?
Why? Because he has plans. And he's been working on it. He has plans, and you know, when you have a plan, then you'll be focused. He's a focused Nigerian, and he has done so much. But people, they misunderstand him.
This is the time for him to prove his popularity this time around, because he's contesting with the giant. The other one he did is a domestic election. This one is general. After that, what we now know, Atiku is very powerful. I can see it's only Atiku that is powerful. Kwakwaso and Obi, no.
And in other parts of Africa, at least 15 people have been killed in a horrific head-on collision that occurred in the early hours of Friday morning between a truck and a bus on the M17 metropolitan route in Patri Shwek, north of Tuani. That is according to Thabo Mabaso, spokesperson at the City of Shawani Emergency Services. The 15 people were declared dead at the scene, while 37 people were taken to various Pretoria hospitals. At least 7 people sustained critical injuries, so the number of fatalities is expected to rise. Mabaso added that the cause of the accident remained the subject of an investigation by law enforcement agencies. Meanwhile, Alderman Grandi, the official in charge of community safety and emergency services in Tuani, passed his message of condolences with families of the deceased. He urged road users to drive on the road with caution at all times. And outside Africa, China's defense minister has arrived in Singapore for in-person talks with his U.S. counterpart on the sidelines of the Shangri-La Dialogue, Asia's premier security meeting. Chinese Minister of National Defense General Wei Fenghe and U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin met for their first face-to-face talks since the start of President Joe Biden's administration. Their meeting would focus on trying to ensure that broader tensions between the two countries do not spill over into military misunderstandings or miscommunication. And in entertainment news, South Korean boy band BTS has released a new album, Proof, in a highly anticipated return to the music scene as they celebrate the 9th anniversary of their debut this month. A music video for the new album's title track, Yet to Come, The Most Beautiful Moment, was released concurrently on YouTube and had recorded over 9 million views. The 7-member group, which last year became the first Asian band to win Artist of the Year at the American Music Awards, had met U.S. President Joe Biden at the White House to discuss hate crimes targeting Asians. And in sports news, Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah has been voted as Men's Player of the Year by his fellow professionals in England for the second time. Salah became only the 7th man to win the Professional Footballers Association award more than once after a season in which he scored 23 goals in the Premier League, tied for first with Tottenham's Son Heung-min, and had a league-leading 14 assists. Kevin De Bruyne, the star player for Premier League champion Manchester City, was looking to win the award for the 3rd time this year. And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Adibanke Odunui. Thank you for watching.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.gov.gh.